Hello, and welcome to another edition of Congregation Agudat Shalom's This Week in Jewish History. Happy Jerusalem Day, Yom Yerushalayim to everyone. Today we celebrate 50 years since the miraculous victory of the Six-Day War, and in particular, the reunification and return of Jewish sovereignty to the holy city of Jerusalem. And so, I'd like us to spend a few moments remembering the famous battle for Jerusalem, and how Israeli forces conquered the Old City and the Western Wall. After weeks of incredible tension, the war finally broke out on June 5th. By the end of the first day of fighting, the Israeli army had taken control of most of the main roads to Jerusalem from the Jordanians, and the eastern part of the city was in reach. The cabinet met that night to decide what to do. Menachem Begin, of Israel's right-wing Cherut party, advocated for entering and conquering the old city. However, Prime Minister Levi Eshkol was hesitant and decided that a decision would not be made without first hearing from his generals Moshe Dayan and Yitzhak Rabin. But after consulting with them, Eshkol gave the green light for finally taking Jerusalem. And so, in the middle of the night between the first and second days of the war, Israeli troops and tanks crossed the Mandelbaum Gate, which was the crossing point between the eastern and western, or Jordanian and Israeli parts of the city. Israeli forces then continued on to Ammunition Hill, which was made up of trenches and bunkers. And in a particularly fierce battle, both Israeli and Jordanian forces suffered severe casualties, with the Israeli troops finally overtaking the fortified positions. And by early in the day on June 6th, the second day of the war, the troops from Ammunition Hill were able to join with troops that were already on Mount Scopus and secure this strategic area overlooking the city. Fighting continued that day with the Israeli goal of taking the area of the Mount of Olives adjacent to the old city walls. And finally, on the morning of June 7th, the third day of the war, Israeli paratroopers led by legendary commander Mata Gur, who you see here on the top left, broke through Jordanian defenses and entered the old city. Mata Gur, in his armored vehicle, drove right through the old city until reaching the Temple Mount, where he uttered the legendary words, Har Habayit biyadenu, the Temple Mount is in our hands. And it was at this point that the legendary images we are used to seeing came about of troops standing near the Western Wall, Israeli generals Dayan, Rabin, and Narkis walking through the old city, and finally IDF Chief Rabbi Shlomo Goren, who you see on your top right, following the troops with his Torah scroll and shofar, leading the soldiers in prayer and thanksgiving to God. And so, in a few short days, the Western Wall and the holy city of Jerusalem was once again in Jewish hands. Happy Jerusalem Day to you all.